hockey. Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
The Judd's Hockey Show. This is a Tuesday edition, of course, focused on the Olympic Games, which are going on with the National Hockey League being on a break as we make our way today through the single elimination qualification round. The two finals from this morning: Germany 5, France 1. No surprise, Switzerland 3, Italy nothing. Also, no surprise, the game age that the U.S. will be paying close attention to, of course, Latvia, Sweden this afternoon. They will meet the winner of that game. A lot to get to, but before we do that, I want to talk about the best burger in town, and then, of course, is the Parlor burger. Absolutely fantastic. If you're going to a Wild game once the Olympic break is done, guess what? Right down West 7th, there's a Parlor burger. In the North Loop, there is the OG Parlor as well, and then out in Excelsior on Water Street, the newest location. I'm going to tell you right now, you can't go wrong. The burger, as I said, is fantastic. The chicken sandwich is great. The food is delicious. Craft cocktails, a great selection of beers. Also, top-notch service as well. So check them out, Parlor. And there is a QR code on the screen right now. So if you scan that, you can make a reservation. Yes, it's that simple. We're making your life that easy for a trip to a Parlor and all of the fun that goes with that. All right, so let's start with this, Age. You sent out a depth chart yesterday that was interesting because it was the Sweden expected depth chart for today's game in the elimination round or the qualification round. And it had Filip Gustavsson being the number 3 goaltender. Now, this morning, word comes that that there has been no decision yet, the coach playing coy. I know you're shocked by that on who would start at goaltender, but Markstrom was the first guy off the ice. And he played in the last game. I fully expect he's going to start. But let's just go through what Gus has been through so far, because he started this tournament for Sweden, which is one of only 3 teams made up entirely of National Hockey League players. He started it as their top goaltender. And in those, he started the first 2 games. Sweden won the first, lost the second to Finland. He has not played since. In those 2 games, he had an 88.9 save percentage. And his goals saved for Gus above average was minus 1.5. So a 5-2 win against Italy, in which I think Gus allowed at least 1 early goal that was not great, if not 2. Both goals weren't great, as I recall. And then a 4-1 loss to Finland. We have touched on this in previous JHSs of recent vintage since the Olympics began. But what was your take, if indeed the depth chart that you saw was right, and Gus is not going to be dressed, so Jesper Wallstedt potentially could be the backup to Markstrom, which I don't think Wallstedt's been dressed for a game yet. He's been the third, right? Yeah. So what was your take in seeing that, and all indications being that Filip Gustavsson has lost the net for Sweden?
Yeah, and also to just cite the source here, it's coming from Adam Johansson, who popped across my timeline yesterday, who is a Expressen, which I assume is Swedish for journalist, with TV4 Hockey Pulse in Sweden. Okay. Not familiar with them, but he's got a decent amount of followers. He seems to be in the know a little bit. And the reactions, I think, to this were more of what you would see here when somebody in the know tweets out, line combinations or injury stuff amongst American sports. Sure. So with Markstrom Wallstedt being the pairing that he, sent out, I shared that with you and Jesse, and I was like, Gus Bus, there's no mechanic garages, in the roads Milan or anything like that. And it's been a rough go for him. I do think it's there's 2 sides to look at here. One, there probably has been there's been bad play. No doubt about it. He hasn't been at his best. He hasn't been what he's been for the Minnesota Wild this season, which is frankly, as a Wild fan, concerning, because you don't know what you're going to get back from him when they do return here after this coming week. But on the other side of things, I would say, I don't know, especially that first game, that the play in front of him was the best. So it does kind of mount, and it snowballs to probably look worse and worse, because some of these games are at 7 a.m. People have work, even, when they play at 11 or whatever it is. So not everybody's watching every second of every game. So it's easy, I think, to look at box scores or just look at the nations that they're playing against and be like, wait, you're telling me Gus let up 3 goals to so-and-so? I still don't think that he has done enough. And granted, this might be Sweden's goalie situation to begin with, but I don't think he's played well enough to like easily cement himself as the number 1 goalie for the knockout rounds for the Olympics. I don't think Jacob Markstrom is that great of a goalie either. So I think that's saying a lot that he's getting snubbed there. But then also to go as far as not even dress him for Jesper Wallstedt as the backup, who, like we just talked about, to my knowledge at least, has not dressed for a single Olympic game yet. I think it says a lot to either A, I would guess we're going to get some sort of info that he caught a bug, he got some sort of illness, or is even worse, some sort of injury was picked up while playing, and he's just not at the top of his game. He's not at his best. I hope it's neither of those, and frankly, he's just playing so poorly that they're like, all right, we're gonna take you out of the situation together, try to reset you, and maybe we get you back later if we can get past the first round.
I don't think he's coming back. If Markstrom plays at all, well, I don't think he's coming back. And
what if it's leaky though, and they win by like what if they win in overtime, 4-3?
I think if they if they lose, they're done. Which would be an enormous upset if they lose. If they win, I think you stick with the guy who won. My concern is not that he's sick or hurt. It looks like that first game, that one goal he gave up, I think it was to the Italians, where he tried to stop the puck as it was just a long shot, and the puck came in and bounced off. I think it bounced off his stick. And he had gone down, so it was, he had a stick flat. It bounced off his stick and came out, and he like dropped his stick and panicked. It just looks like the stage is big. Which again, I am borderline now thinking you cannot trade Wallstedt, because if this happens in the playoffs, you got nowhere else to turn. So I am borderline taking Wallstedt off the market entirely. Not because I want to, not because I don't want an upgrade, but because this is basically playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And the way that Gustavsson has played concerns me. And I don't think that you can realistically make a case, well, it's fine, his team didn't play great, but that happens in the playoffs. How many times have we seen a team have a bad period or two in a playoff game and the goaltender stands on his head and they pull out a win? So right. I'm concerned here that what Gustafsson's play, because he was given the goal. Like they basically said, take the goal. And it's just like, okay, that didn't work out. That worries me a lot.
I'm also, just to fact check us a little bit, it looks like they did go Markstrom Wallstedt for the Sweden-Slovakia game. And Gus did not dress whatsoever. So just to clear that up. Yeah, yes, it is. The pushback I would have there is, do they have an emerging backup plan with Samuel Levi of Slovakia, who has sort of shown you can't go off the stats that you've seen with the Iowa Wild to where is he ready to be called up as a potentially more than capable backup goaltender if that's the case. Granted, I'm still with you where I'm very on the fence. I think I much more trust Wallstedt in a situation to step in and take the load of work moving forward. But
right.
We've talked about this time and time again on the show, which is if you're going to you trade for Quinn Hughes, you trade for somebody else that is going to be impactful. That is like the final piece, a center more than likely to get you over the hump for a deep playoff run against a very stacked Central Division that you're going to have to face in the first 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. 2 goalies doesn't benefit you as well as a goalie and a center. And now I'm sure Bill Guerin is probably losing some sleep, not only watching maybe somehow his USA team not be as big of a powerhouse in the preliminary rounds, but also, out of his peripherals, he's like, how's Gus doing? How's he looking? Ooh, okay. That's not great. I have these 2 deals lined up, and now all of a sudden I'm going to get a text from Chris Drury out in New York. And he's like, actually, I don't know if I want to do a deal anymore or something along those lines. So,
well, Trocheck though, that's the one good thing. I mean, there's no way on God's green earth that I'm putting Wallstedt in a Trocheck trade. So like if it's
Zero
going to be
chance.
Trocheck to win faceoffs, which I think he is, I believe it as far as faceoff win percentage, Trocheck's in the top 5 at the Olympic Games. Then I would make a deal for him, but that's not going to involve Wallstedt. If you are going to trade for, let's say, Robert Thomas, he might need to be involved in that trade. But so here's my dilemma now with these games is we've talked about this. You're right. You get Quinn Hughes, that's like the major chip. And so you expect to advance past the first round. But what happens in game 1 if a guy, or in game 1 or 2 of the playoffs, if a guy from the opposing team crosses center ice, puts a shot on goal, and it goes in? And now Gus is melting down. And that's been my concern. So anyway, far from a perfect situation, we don't know. Sweden did win, to your point. I was wrong about this, but yeah, Sweden did win with Markstrom starting and Wallstedt as the backup and Gustafsson as the third. They might keep that, and that might have been also reflective of the depth chart that you were talking about before. But it gives me a lot more to think about because these games are as close to a playoff game as you're going to get. And from a goaltending standpoint, the result has not been great. I got a question for you. Okay. Better team, and I know the competition is completely different, so it's subjective, but better team, Canadian men, U.S. women. Because they're going to the gold. So they're going to play Canada at 12:10 Central Time on Thursday for the gold. They have played, they have outscored their 6 opponents so far. The U.S. women's team, 31-1, 5 consecutive shutouts. Now, I am waiting for, the interesting thing about this sport is, how long have we been told that other countries were going to catch up soon? And then I think Sweden was catching up a little bit. But I mean, this dominance is one, it's incredible. Kudos. But 2, you want to see closer games. But if you had to pick a juggernaut just for fun, Canadian men in their sport or the U.S. women, who I think are going to be or should be a favorite against Canada on Thursday.
Oh, I think they are the favorite. First off, this is a tough question. It's very different. I think that the Canadian men have some of the best hockey players in the world, top to bottom. Don't get me wrong, the talent is there. But in terms of sheer dominance against their field, their current field, this USA women's team is a juggernaut. And I expected when I sat down yesterday to see a competitive, hard-fought, tooth and nail, maybe some blood being shared between them and Sweden. It was a cakewalk. It was like another walk in the park for them.
Just Sweden packed it in. First period, they basically were killing a penalty when they weren't killing a penalty.
Just coasting into the gold medal game where I have them favored by a lot. I mean, you just spanked Canada within the past week. And I mean, sure, they're going to be looking for revenge. And they have their GOAT back. And how
I was going to say, the GOAT scares me.
Poulin with 2 goals yesterday. But that being said, if they need her to come back from injury and score 2 goals just to get to the gold medal game, that's something. Right now, I have to give it to the U.S. women's. Only because I'm going to give them the slight edge with Team Canada. Like, I haven't seen them, in my opinion, yet, like, face off against a team that I think is close to their talent level where I can really compare. Sure, they put up five goals in a 5-1 win against Switzerland. It's Switzerland. It's a step down. They put up 10 goals against France. It's France. I'm not taking those too much into consideration for like the dominance. I really expect that. Frankly, that's what I expected the U.S. to do in some of their prelim games, and they couldn't. So maybe that just shows the gap there. But the U.S. women's team just dismantling a team that I know the NBC crew was kind of hyping up because of the 2006 Olympics. I want to say was the one where they denied the U.S. of the gold medal or like going to the gold medal game. I forget exactly what it was now, but Sweden I expected to be good on the women's side of things, and they just made them look less than. So I will side with the U.S. women's team right now.
So just for comparison's sake, 6 games, the U.S. women's team has outscored opponents, as I said, 31-1. In 3 games, the Canadian men outscored opponents 20-3. So like these are juggernauts, great teams. You brought up the one thing though that in the U.S. women's Canada game scares me. Marie Philippe Poulin is back. All right, and like you said, she scored 2 goals, and you beat Swiss, or the Canadians did, I should say, 2-1. She now has 20 goals in the Olympics, which is the women's record for
She
the
passed
games.
Wickenheiser, right?
Yeah, I think she did pass.
Okay.
Yes, I think she did. And this is the one thing is you beat them so soundly, and you have cruised past teams. Can you get that final one? Because the Canadians, this is gonna be a war. And I don't think the Canadians have beaten them. In fact, I don't know the last time the Canadian women beat them. I don't know because if I'm correct on this, they swept the entire series. What's it called, the rivalry series? They played 4 games like a month and a half ago, 2 in the States, 2 in Canada, and the U.S. swept that. So I'm with you. They're favored. They might be heavily favored, but do not sleep on Canada because it feels like it always bites you in the ass at the end. All of that being said, I don't know if I've ever seen the U.S. women's national team have this much quality veteran depth and then this much veteran star depth from younger players. Like, that's the thing. It's not for years it felt like it was the same people, right? And they would add 1 or 2 here or there. But this one it feels like just the entire roster is vets who have done it before and younger players who are not just stepping in and contributing or helping, but playing massive roles. The Bilka, Heisey, Murphy line, 18 points in the Olympics.
Tremendous.
In the Olympics. And Abby Murphy has been, like, we know she's good because she's a gopher, and we've watched her a bunch. But I don't know if I expected her to be this dominant at the level that she's playing at. She reminds me of, and I think I said this last week on JHS. She reminds me of a probably more talented but very similar wired Brad Marchand.
Yeah, I
think she's got more talent.
I agree. But the way that she plays the game,
sport, but the way that she plays the game, she is a pest, and she's really good, which is a really, really frustrating, if you're an opponent, combination to go up against.
The thing that I'll applaud about the women's program is they have done what I think the men's has really failed to do. In terms of development, you look at what you just said. They have these veterans that are still contributing and playing very big roles on their team. But you look at some of the younger names on the roster, they're stepping up in that line that you just said, 18 points. They're showing not only are we good now, we're going to be good for the future. I thought that was going to be the case for the men's side of things. But if you look at it, for Canada, Celebrini, Bedard, Schaefer, you got Gavin McKenna, who is going to get drafted this year. They're going to be set for the future. What is the next, like, American men's superstar? I really think if they don't win it this year, the gold medal, it's going to be a long time before you can say, they're up to the task to do it again. And this is where the women's side of things, development and just constructing a roster and building for the future. Obviously, you want to win now, and they're very well set to win now. But I think they're going to be able to win 4 years from now, and then probably 4 years after that, and then 4 years. They look tremendous, and because of how good they've developed in that program.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm sure, especially for a guy like me who's not a prospects expert, that's a difficult question to answer because I'm trying to think of like the best young U.S. talent in the National Hockey League right now. And the incredible thing is, if there was a debate, now I thought Bedard easily could have gone
absolutely
to Milan, but if there was a debate about splitting hairs between Celebrini and Bedard, that's done. I mean, Celebrini is. I went into the games saying that Celebrini is a better player right now. I guess I didn't realize by how much. Like, when you're on a line with McDavid, and by the way, you look absolutely at home there.
Right.
Like, he's a kid. He looks like a kid. He's a kid. And there have been very few, in my opinion, teenagers who look as comfortable and dominate at times as he does.
Keep in mind, Judd,
Because-
he was eligible to play at the World Juniors this past month.
Oh my God.
Think about that.
I guess he should have too, because the Canadians could have used him in that.
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
when I watch that guy play, I knew he was really, really good, but on this stage with the pressure potentially, he has been absolutely great. And yes, it's like you watch him, and this is probably the highest compliment that I can pay him. The difference to me between, and there have been tweaks, the Canadian Four Nations team a year ago, which was really good and won in OT in the championship game against the US. But the difference, in my opinion, like if there's one thing between that team and this team for Canada, it's Celebrini.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Right.
the like when you look at that team, a lot of the guys are the same, but what's the difference? That first line, and when you can construct a line at any point when John Cooper decides it's going to be McDavid, Celebrini out there, and McKinnon, that's stupid. Like that's Red Army stuff there.
It's a cheat code. Like that is if I was 12 and at a sleepover at my buddy's house and we loaded up NHL to play at like 1 o'clock because that's late or whatever, and
Yep.
that's somebody going to be like, all right, I'm going to be the Ducks. I want to play with Teemu Solani and all this stuff. I'm going to pick the NHL All Stars. No, you're not. And that's no, I'm not. You're not playing with Team Canada because that's broken. They're a cheat code. We got to be fair. This Canada team is unreal. But I think that also shows, just based off the opinion that I was talking about, how good and how valued the dominance I've seen out of the USA women's team so far at this Olympic Games.
Absolutely. Hey, before we get done talking about sports, I want to talk to you about the best place to get your tickets, and that, of course, is from my friends at SeatGeek, who right now I'm checking the app. I see Wolves tickets. I see a show coming to town. Grand Casino on April 9th. Lady Gaga in town. Basically, if you want tickets for shows, for Broadway plays, for sports, SeatGeek is the place that you are going to get them. And as you can see right there, 10% off any tickets with the promo code JUDD, JUDD10. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the top-rated ticketing app that there is. Each ticket, by the way, rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know that you are getting a good deal. Again, the promo code is JUDD10, JUDD10, 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code JUDD10. All right, have your feelings since we talked last changed at all? As the U.S. men, I would guess, get prepared to play. We would think. We'll see. There could be an upset. Sweden on Wednesday. Hellebuck, clearly, it's his net. The Ottinger thing is sort of weird, but at the end of the day, Swayman played a game. They have lightened the boards. The wrapping on the boards has been lightened, so that's been changed. So Swayman can see the puck now. But have your thoughts changed at all since watching them get done with the pool play?
Now that I know the matchups, I think I actually feel a little more confident about them. Going into the tournament, I valued Sweden, I think, a lot higher than what I've watched them play at this year, in the past 2 weeks, I should say. And I just don't think that they are up to the level or at the level that I expected them to be. So I think it'll be one of those, you probably are going off of namesake more than the actual, I guess, talent on ice. So
Yes.
the U.S. should win. And then if they beat them, they will play the winner of, is it Slovakia, Germany? Do they reseed it? I forget.
I don't think they do. I don't.
So it'll
think
be Finland, Switzerland, the winner of
Yeah,
that.
I don't think
Okay.
that they do. Yes.
Which, maybe I'm being greedy here, but yeah, I would expect that they can probably win either of those games as well, whether it's Finland or
Finland
Switzerland.
scares me a little bit. They got
They
off
do.
to that bad start. Lost their first game. They got upset by Slovakia in their first game. But Finland's always a plucky club.
They're
Finland's
playing more like you would expect a Finnish team to do. So they've come together to look more like a
Yes.
team than just NHL players.
and they often do. The Swiss without Fiala is just a huge blow offensively. So the Swiss scare me if you're going to play them less than the Finns do. In either game, just to be very clear, you should win the game. So I think that's key. On Sweden, I will say this. The loss of Brodin clearly really hurts them.
Yeah.
And I know he's not a sexy player, and I don't think he is certainly by any means a household name in the States or Canada outside of this state since he plays for the Wild Age. But he is such a good quality defenseman. Like the fact that that guy at his age is one of the few guys in the league that can really frustrate and stifle McDavid at times.
Right.
Like that's impressive. So the Swedes have been hurt by that. That being said, I'm with you. I expected more. And I think we're going to see, not to get too into the weeds in Sweden here, I think we're going to see a coaching change there post-tournament because the Filip Forsberg stuff made no sense at all. I mean, he played one shift in the first game, and that guy has played since. He should play more, but he is still, as far as I can tell, with my eyes, Filip Forsberg. He's a hell of a player. I think there's been a lot of weird decisions made, and I would not, because the expectation there, again, they are one of three teams with an entire, it's Canada, the U.S., and Sweden. Those are the only teams built entirely off of National Hockey League players. And if Sweden goes out, well, against Slovakia, the coach is gone for sure. But if Sweden goes out before having a chance to get a medal, I got to think that's it. Because there have been some very, very curious decisions made there that that if you are a national team GM, you're probably going to say, yeah, what the hell? It's time for a coaching change.
The one thing I think I fear for what I think is an inevitable Sweden-USA matchup once they get past Latvia, which is if Sweden can take I guess, Phil Forsberg, he hasn't really played enough. But if they switch some stuff around and stuff clicks and they jump on the U.S., that's where I'm going to be nervous because I think
that's a good point.
If they start hot and they get the first 2 goals of the game, then I'll be a little anxious. I don't think they have enough defensively to maybe hold off a 45+ minute shell offense where they kind of just dump it in and do whatever. But the U.S., I've been nervous about how they warm up into games and how slowly they finally hit their stride. So that's what, yeah. Jesper Bratt, though, I think is going to get demoted from that Sweden lineup. So maybe that allows a Filip Forsberg to move up and take a more prominent role. So we'll have to see. I'm excited to watch that game later on today.
Me too. All right, we'll be back on Wednesday and programming quickly. So yes. The U.S. is going to play on Wednesday at, I believe it's 2:10 p.m. Central Time. We are going to do a Judd's Hockey Show. Me, AJ, Jesse Pierce, after that game live. So we ordinarily record our Wednesday show in the morning, and it gets put out by AJ right after that. We're going to delay it to watch the game. We are then going to do a Wednesday show, the three of us, right after the conclusion of that game. So that will be the next time that you will see Judd's Hockey Show. As always, appreciate you watching. Also, as AJ always reminds me to say, this is the new Judd's Hockey Show channel on YouTube. So please like and subscribe as we look to build this community, hopefully for a long, wild playoff run, which would be great fun considering they have not been past the first round since 2015. So we will see you on Wednesday. He's AJ. I'm Judd. Talk to you later.